Hi, guys. Welcome to another episode of Becoming a Powerhouse Brand. I am so excited to record today's episode. I'm actually interviewing someone that is on the other side of the world right now, which feels really weird. I know I've had a lot of people from like the States and like all over the world, but when you are literally on complete opposite sides of the world, it is really strange. But I'm so excited. I've got Abbey Rose on, who is the spiritual accountant. Abbey, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Jackie. Thank you so much for having me. And yeah, I think it's more your morning and my night.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But I'm so excited for this episode. So, I talk a lot on this podcast about finding your purpose, really stepping into and claiming your power
Mm.
and showing up in a way that is totally aligned with basically your soul's purpose. And
Yeah.
I know that is a journey in itself, isn't it? Really discovering what your purpose is and following your intuition and learning how to do things kind of the complete opposite way of how you are taught as a child how to do things.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'd love to know, like, could you do a bit of an intro into what it is that you do now so that everyone listening can get to know what you're all about?
Yeah, thank you so much. So, obviously, when you hear the word spiritual accountant, it kind of mixes people's heads a little bit because spirituality and accounting aren't really traditionally seen as two things that go together. But when I sort of woke up and I went through my own spiritual journey and my own journey of awakening and ascension, it was about integrating all aspects of myself and connecting to my soul's essence and what I'm really here to do. And someone once said to me, the most important day of your life is the day that you were born, and the second most important day of your life is the day you learn why. And
Yes.
so my awakening, yeah, I've been on this journey of uncovering why. And yeah, in that was stepping into spiritual accounting and stepping into business, commerce, spirituality, leadership, and really paving a new paradigm of finance and a new paradigm of business and a new way, because what we were taught at school, and most people, they go to their accountant and their accountant is a tax agent and they file taxes, and it kind of keeps you in this system that's really kind of limited and stuck. So I help people learn the truth about the system, but then empower them with financial management tools that we were never taught. And teaching people that money is not energy. You are the energy. Money is the tool, and it's actually dead. It's not alive. It's not living. You are the currency. So when you align to your purpose and you want to lead business in an innovative way, you can really tap into that currency, that cosmic currency, I call it, and that divine wealth that is really available to all of us. So I like to help people do that.
I love that. So, were you in like the whole accounting space before you had your awakening yourself?
Yeah, I absolutely was. So I started in accounting when I was 19, and I went through a diploma, I went through uni, I went on to postgrad. My whole career objective was to become a tax agent. And it was probably two subjects shy. It was two subjects shy of completing my tax agent license requirements that spirit came, and my whole world crumbled and everything fell apart, and it was like nearly like I was innocently indoctrinated into full tax compliance so I could learn the system. And then through my awakening and uncovering the truth of our economy, I then learned the flip side of the coin. So now I share both with people. So people have a choice, and I think that was the biggest thing that's been taken away, is like we just, the only thing in life that is certain is death and taxes. And actually, that's not true. So we do have a choice. So I'm about sharing both sides of the fence so people can choose where they want to be.
Yeah. And I think it's so amazing. Like I'm connecting with a lot of people because I've gone through my own kind of what I would call a spiritual awakening myself. And you get to connect with other people that have gone through the same thing. And for some people, it's like a real rock bottom moment where they're like, oh my God, what is going on? Everything's crumbling around me. You kind of feel lost. And then you have that spiritual awakening because of that. But then for other people, it's almost like that everything's great. Like everything on paper is amazing, but they just have this feeling inside that there is more available to them and that nudge. So I
Yeah.
think the fact that you can combine both those sides of like
Yes.
prosperity, wealth, finances, everything into
Yes.
one is so beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah. And it's that little nudge, right? It's that little glimmer, So whether it is in the highest of highs or the lowest of lows, like it's that intuitive little, like, it's not you, or it is you, or it's your soul's essence, or it's
Yeah.
God, or it's spirit, or it's your guides, or it's whatever you want to call it, but it's this little like glimmer inside that ignites something in
Yeah.
you. And I see that as like the light and that glimmer when we make our decisions in business and we make our decisions from that place. This is what can open up more possibility and potential.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? Because when you first tap into this work, it feels very alien because it's the complete
Yeah.
opposite of everything you've ever been taught. And you're like, how does this work? How does it make sense? But then when you start to see shifts happening, and you literally become a magnet, don't you? I always talk about that. When you start stepping into your power, raising your own frequency, you attract the things that you're calling in. But until you do that work, you're literally repelling it, aren't you? So it is such powerful
Well,
work to do.
yeah, and because the frequency is like the resonance, right? And it's not to say, right, because this is how I bring it back with cosmic currency, right? Because the energy comes through your crown chakra, right? And we're all energetic beings, and it's kind of like water, right? And when you look at water, water holds frequency, right? So they did scientific tests on this water that was around like negative emotion, negative environment, it would just like crumble, into chunky ice. But then when it was in a positive environment and it had a positive emotion, positive attitude, frequencies, it would turn into a snowflake. Right. So if you can imagine with our frequency, we all have a frequency. And it's not to say with the emotional scale, right? You have to be in the highest frequency and you've got to be love and light all the time. Like that's beside the point. Like we all have an emotional cycle and we all have peaks and troughs. We have cycles, ups and downs, but it's the baseline of your frequency, right? So it's where you're operating from and water, the energy, what that baseline frequency is. Because when you move that baseline up, what happens is the waves in your frequency go a lot faster, right? So when you go a lot faster, this is when we can speed up time. This is where we can download from source. This is when we can take massive action. So it's like the frequency is really connected to who we are. So we have to go through all that emotional stuff to clear the waters, remove the debris so our energy can be free flowing, and then we can send all those waves out into the universe. And then what resonates with that will always come back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I love this stuff.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
And I also think it's so powerful because I think for a lot of people, when I have conversations with them, they'll say things like, I'm doing all the affirmations, I'm following all these things, I'm doing the manifestation, I'm listening to the audios and everything. But there's quite often like those limiting beliefs. The subconscious mind will always be reflecting what like we're actually thinking, won't it? And I think there's so much like deep work that has to happen in order to have
Yes.
this. But it's almost like for me personally, I noticed the big shift, and it was almost like an instant shift for me once I'd really clocked into my subconscious mind and rewired my own thoughts and limiting beliefs. That things
Yeah.
started to attract into my world. And they were things that I'd been calling in for some of them years. Like literally, things just weren't shifting. And I was like, why is it not happening? I'm doing all of the affirmations, I'm journaling,
Mhm.
I'm doing all my positive mindset stuff and everything. But I didn't realize the power that your subconscious mind has on this
Mhm.
work as well. And it was literally reflecting what my sort of deep thoughts were.
Yeah, because it's the programs,
Yeah.
right? It's what programs are running. And it's not just the belief system, but it's the behavior attached to the
Yeah.
belief system, right? Because what's driving your behaviors, and it's like most people are just doing things without even knowing, right? So their unconscious mind is running the show, but their unconscious mind could be unintegrated or integrated, so sometimes we're doing these things from a place of wounds,
Yeah.
past wounds and past traumas and past things we believe because of what happened in our past, childhood or through past lives, all those sorts of things. Oh, cool. And then my lights are just flickering. So then it's like, well, if you want to shift that, we have to reprogram the beliefs, but then also change the behavior. And that's the transformation. And this is
Yeah.
where I think when you start believing something different, you start doing different things. So then what I see is like it's kind of like a bank account, right? And self-worth. So attracting money always comes back to self-worth, high self-esteem, and confidence, right? So we want to attract money. It's actually got nothing to do with money and everything to do with our energetic
Yeah.
value. But what happens is over our lifetime, it's like people, places, or things will take withdrawals out of our self-worth bank account, right? So then over time, it goes into a negative. Right. So what we have to do is bring it back into the positive. So this is you doing the affirmations, so every time you're doing an affirmation and you're doing your journaling, you're putting positive deposits into your self-worth bank account, right? And at first it feels a bit off or it feels a bit wrong, and but that's because when you put a deposit, you're so far in the red, right? It is moving, but it's moving from a negative to a negative. So it still feels a bit weird because it's
Yeah.
still a negative. And that's why we've got to be persistent with this stuff. Keep putting those deposits in. Assert your boundaries, speak your truth, like, do those things that are good for your spirit, for your soul, for your emotional well-being, your confidence, right? So then eventually over time you'll come up into the positive. And then it just becomes natural behavior that we do these things or we think these things or we believe these things because we've put all of those deposits back in, like all of that worthiness back in, all of that power, that inner authority back into the truth of who we are. So I absolutely love this stuff, and I think people need to do more of it.
Yeah.
More of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I think for so many people, particularly as women, is we put ourselves, or we can, especially mothers, like the bottom of the pecking order, and we're putting everybody else before ourselves because we're here to like care for others. And when you
That's right.
start flipping that and you actually do start making yourself a priority, you feel amazing for it, and it means that you can actually provide to other people and support other people and
Oh,
be there. Yeah, exactly. It's so good. But I love the way you were talking about putting those deposits in. And I think
yes.
that's a really simple way of just seeing it in like why you would want to do this stuff. Like who doesn't
Yeah.
want to receive more abundance and all of that side of things? So
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think too, like, it's part of, you know, caring for yourself is not selfish, having boundaries is not selfish or, egocentric, but it's like if we want to show up and we want to be that powerhouse. And I think there's a lot of women out there in business and their mums and the way that we've sort of been brought up in this culture, needing to have two incomes to survive. So we're working and the kids go off to school or daycare or whatever. And then we wear these many hats and then we have to do all the cooking and the cleaning and the Susie homemakers, that's not for
yeah,
everyone. We still do show up in that nurturing role. And it's like sometimes, at the end of it, you can just feel so beat down because it's like I'm giving in all of these spaces but where do I give for myself?
Yeah.
So it's really important to set that time aside for that, especially as women, because we need it. We're such emotional beings. Like for men,
Yeah.
they're not run by emotions. We are, right? So we need that time to really give back to ourselves so we can feel whole. And usually I find like you'll see in those masculine feminine dynamics, is if you're having that kind of like he's not there for me, he doesn't support me, it's because you're not supporting yourself.
Yeah.
We've got to give back to ourselves, and then naturally men want to support, they want to protect, they want to provide, but it's like there's a deficiency.
Yeah.
So not on him to fix you, you got to fix you first, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, and it's leaning into
Yeah.
that feminine energy, isn't it? And it's really interesting because I was talking to someone about this the other day about school and how we're taught how to do things, and it's very masculine energy based, isn't it?
Very right, right.
We're these beings that are designed to care for others and be more feminine, but actually we're programmed for so many years of our lives to lean into our masculine.
Do. Action,
Yeah,
action, action.
yeah,
Yeah, right.
this
And
is the
that's not
way
a
it's
bad
done.
thing. Yeah, that's not a bad thing. Right. So I've got a few little hacks that I do because I was quite masculine, right? I will say that right now. I was married. That was the catalyst for everything, was the separation and the divorce. And I look back at that relationship and I was like, poor guy. The version of Abby that he had, she didn't feel safe.
Yeah,
So my masculine was kind of running the show. My masculine was doing everything, and I was showing up in work and home and relationship, and I wasn't really ever dropping into my feminine because I didn't feel safe. But that safety had to come from within first. I had to create that safety. So I went through a lot of practice and a lot of like getting to know myself, all aspects, because we have that kind of inner masculine, if you, for whatever better word, but ultimately we have, you know, we are feminine. We are
yeah,
feminine. So we have light and dark feminine. We're not masculine, right? But we can have masculine energy, but ultimately women just want to be women. And
yeah,
I see that more and more. So what I would do is, in my work, I could show up very dominant, very masculine, and taking all the action and doing all the things. But I always make sure that I kind of switch, right? And I try and embody more feminine traits for myself. And, it could just be once I finish work, I'll have a bath, a hot bath. Right. And that just like washes away all of that do, action, action,
yeah,
action, lead, lead, lead. Right. Or I'll like rub some moisturizer into my legs, or I'll put a dress on. I look back to unintegrated Abby that was struggling and learning. But I look back and working in the professional finance sector, and I was always in suit and pants,
yeah,
suit and pants, and it was just like, oh, you know what? Like, what if I just wear a dress? It doesn't matter. Like, let's take some of these feminine traits and really use them to help us feel the energy of that, because I promise you, that's what your man wants to feel.
yeah,
So, yeah, like they love that. Secretly, they love that, right? So you can have that kind of transition, I guess you would call it, to make sure you are embodying all of those things.
yeah. And people start to notice it, don't they? Like I remember I was wearing boring clothes that didn't make me feel good when I like even going on the school run. I think I'm only doing the school run, so I don't need to make any effort at all. And actually, when I started wearing clothes that made me feel more feminine and like really lit me up, I was getting comments from people like, "Oh, I love what you're wearing today," and that's feel
Yeah,
good, isn't it? It's like those positive
yeah.
deposits, like you're saying.
Yeah. Look good, feel good, look
Yeah,
after yourself. And it doesn't mean you have to, do all, it's what you want,
yeah,
right? It's what makes you genuinely feel good. What did I do? I had a huge shift when I think it was called Color Guru, and I looked at like the different colors of my skin tone and my complexion and my hair and all of that. And then I got this chart of like, this is your chart of colors. So anytime I purchase clothes now, I will purchase according to that chart, because naturally, like the energy and the feel of those clothes and those colors really just brings out that vibrancy. So
Yeah.
all of that stuff, yeah, I'm down for it.
Yeah, I love it. And
Down
people
for
feel it, don't they? They love it. Like when you start showing up like that, they can literally feel it in your, you can feel people's energy in a room, can't you, when you're around them?
yeah, for
As if you
sure.
do stuff that's going to raise your own energetic frequency, like other people around you are going to want to be around you more.
For sure. And then other people might be intimidated by that. Or,
Yes.
when they're not embodying the truth of their essence, they might feel challenged by that. So sometimes I call them like mosquitoes in the little light zapper, but that's not to detract you from your light or from your essence, that's the reflection on them. Like,
Yeah.
if anything, just embody more of who you are and the world will love it and reflect that back to you
Yeah.
because that's who you deserve to be. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. So how do you help your clients? How do you work with your clients at the moment?
Yeah. So, I do a lot. I help with obviously teaching with financial management. So I bring it back to the currency and I bring it back to cash flow management and conscious cash flow. And then I also help people with tapping into their soul's unique blueprints, right? So, like I said, the most important day of your life, the day you were born, the second most important was the day you learn why.
Yeah.
So I kind of have a little bit of a knack with, I ask a series of questions, and if we can build a business around your unique essence and revenue streams around who you truly are, so that you can just shine from that place, business gets to be really easy and it gets to be really effortless, right? And we can quantum jump and we can really like leverage, right? Leverage our energy and have a business that feels really nourishing and fulfilling. So
Yeah.
what I see is a lot of people just trying to do, what other people are doing, or it's a cookie cutter of some program,
Oh,
watered down
yeah.
version, right? And it's like, yeah, that's cool, that's needed for a certain group of people, but if you really want to create lasting success, building a business based on your truest soul's essence and then driving from that place, like that's where you'll have ultimate fulfillment. And fulfillment can be many things. It can be work-life balance. It can be giving back in bigger ways, or it can be, awakening on a mass scale. So, and I see money then is kind of like the byproduct of that. So when you just step more into that essence and that energetic value is put out into the world from that place, then money is always in the bank account. There's no problem. There's no problems. So I sort of teach people, systems and functions to manage that money in a very effortless way, but also driving business from a soul aligned place.
Oh, I love their stuff. It's so powerful. And I think for anyone that is listening to this, I mean, hopefully you are going through or are starting to tap into and follow those nudges, because that's basically what I talk about on this whole podcast. But just where you can see how all of these different areas of your business and life can click into place and just feel, like Abby was saying, more effortless. And I think business should be fun. If you're not having fun in your business, and if it's not lighting you up, there's going to be like a disconnect. You're causing energetic leaks in what you're doing. So, yeah, once you can really tap into your soul's purpose and follow your intuition and literally just follow those guides, follow those nudges, because that is what you are here to do. It's not following other people's cookie cutter strategies.
Absolutely. Hands down. Like the best business coach you'll ever have is literally your soul.
Yeah.
Your soul's unique essence. Because like I remember a time like when I was trying, and I would create lead magnets or whatever, and it's all from the mind,
Yes.
right? And they would flop, right? They would totally flop. And they would be clunky and it would be like I couldn't launch or then no one would be interested or this or that. And then whenever I launch something, it's straight from source, straight from soul. And it's like I'll get that download. I call them seeds. and then literally it nearly like creates itself. It's like I'm the conduit for it. I do a couple of things, and then in literally a space of hours, it's done. And
Yeah.
that's what happened with the Soul Streams. And when I first launched Soul Streams, I literally had 230 people sign up to it. And I was like, holy moly, like how am I going to do 230 soul streams? I was like, shit, I didn't think about that. So I had to sort of just readjust a little bit. But it was like you see the result of it when it comes from source, because these seeds that are being planted for awakened beings is because God, source, universe, whomever wants these solutions, wants these products and services here on earth at this time to assist in the awakening of humanity. So
Oh
it's
my
very
God.
important
Yeah,
we
so
listen
true.
to those nudges. You
So
have to.
true. And I find like me, when I'm out walking my dog on my own and I'm not doing any work, that is where I get my downloads. And when I just go with it, when I'm in that energy, when I'm like, yes, let's just do it, that is always the offer that sells out, rather than the
Yeah,
ones where I'm like, I'm going to plan it and do this strategy and do this launch and send this many emails. And it's just like you're trying to force something, aren't you? When you
yeah,
go
for
with what
sure.
feels good. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the feeling is like that's the soul nudge,
Yeah.
right? That's the soul nudge. And, I feel like too, nope, I lost it. It's gone. It was there, left.
Just wait for that little nudge to come through again.
Yeah,
Thank you
yeah.
so much, Abby, for coming on the podcast. How can our listeners get in touch with you and connect with you?
Yeah, sure. You can follow along. I'm on Instagram at the Spiritual Accountant. I do also have a Facebook group, but that's more for tax stuff and financial management. I mean, if you want to jump over there, you can jump into the link in my bio. But I just love sharing, and thank you, Jackie, so much for allowing me this opportunity to share my message on your platform. So I'm very grateful.
Oh,
And we've connected on Instagram, so I'll continue following your journey as well and watch.
amazing. Thank you so much for coming on, Abby. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Please do go and check out Abby's socials. I'll put them in the show notes below so you can go and follow her. Let us know what you thought about the episode. If you have loved this, please do leave a review, and I will be back for another episode soon. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.